Hello, welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Wicked. Um, this chapter is called Geographies of the Seen and the Unseen. All the way from Stone Spar's End, where Frex met her coach, Nanny complained. Lumbago, weak kidneys, fallen arches, aching gums, sore haunches. Frex wanted to say, and how about your swollen ego? Though he had been out of circulation for a while, he knew such a remark would be rude. Nanny flounced and petted herself, clinging determinedly to her seat until they arrived at the lodge near Rush Margins. Melena greeted Frex with affecting shyness. My breastplate, my backbone, she murmured. She was slendered after a hard winter, her cheekbones more prominent, her skin looked scoured as if by an artist's scratch brush. But she always had the look of etching in the flesh. She was usually bold with her kisses, and he found her reticence alarming until he realized there was a stranger in the shadows. And then after introductions, Nanny and Melena fussed to get a meal on the table, and Frex put some oats for the sorry nag who had to pull the carriage. When this was done, he went in the spring evening light to see his daughter again. Elphaba was cautious around him. He found his pouch a trinket he'd whittled for her, a little sparrow with a cunning beak and upraised wings. Look, Fabala, he whispered. Melania hated the derivative, so he used it. It was his and Elpha's private mon, the father-daughter pact against the world. Look what I found in the forest, a little maplewood bird. The child took the thing in his hands. She touched it softly and put the head in her mouth. Frex steeled himself to hear the inevitable splintering and to hold back his sigh of disappointment. But Elphaba did not bite. She sucked the head and looked at it again. Wet, it had greater life. You like it, Frex said. She nodded and began to feel its wings. Now that she was distracted, Frex could draw her between his knees. He nuzzled his crinkly bearded chin into her hair. She smelled like soap and wood smoke and the char on toast. A good, healthy smell, and he closed his eyes if it was good to go home. He had spent the winter in an abandoned shepherd's hut on the windward slope of Griffin's Head. Praying and fasting, moving deeper inside and then further outside himself, and why not? At home he felt the scorn of the people of the whole claustrophobic valley of Eelswater. They had connected the time dragons slander the story of a corrupt minister with the arrival of a deformed child. They had drawn their own conclusions. They had avoided his chapel services. So a sort of hermit's life, at least in small intervals, had seen both penance and preparation for something else, something next. But what? He knew that this life wasn't what Melania had originally expected marrying him. With his bloodlines, Frex had looked prime for an elevation to proctor, or even eventually bishop. He had imagined the happiness Melania would have of a society dame, presiding over feast day dinners and charity balls and episcopal teas. Instead, he could see her in the firelight, grating at last limp winter carrot into a pan of fish. Here she wasted away, a partner in a difficult marriage on a cold, shadowy lake shore. Frex had a notion that she wasn't sorry to see him off from time to time, so that she could be glad to see him back. As he ruminated, his beard tickled Elphaba's neck, and she snapped the wings off her wooden sparrow. She sucked on it like a whistle, twisting away from him. She ran to a glass lens hanging from the projecting eave and swatted at it. Don't, you'll break that, said her father. She cannot to break that. The traveler, the quadling, came from the sink where he had been washing up. So she turned her toy into a cripple, Frex said, pointing to the ruined birdling. She is herself pleased at the half things, Turtle Heart said. I think the girls who play with the broken pieces better. Frex didn't quite get it, but he nodded. He knew that months away from the human voice had made him clumsy at first. The boy from the inn, who had climbed the griffin's head delivers Nanny's request to be picked up at Stone Spar's end, had obviously thought Frex a wild man, grunting and unkept. Frex had to quote a little bit of the Ozzyad to indicate some sort of humanity. Land of green abandon, land of endless leaf. It was all that would come to him. Why can't she break it? Asked Frex. Because I do not to make it to be broken, answered Turtle Heart, but he smiled at Frex, not aggressively, and Elphaba wandered around with a shiny glass if it were a toy, catching shadows, reflections, lights on a perfect surface, almost as if she were playing. Where are you going? Asked Frex, just as Turtle Heart was saying. Where are you from? I'm a Munchkinlander, said Frex. I too think all Munchkinlanders should be shorter than you. Shouldn't that... I feel like the Frex and Turtle Heart is mixed around. The peasants, the farmers, yes, Frex said, but anyone with bloodlines or tracing married into a height somewhere along the way. And you're from Quadling country. Yes, said the Quadling. His reddish hair had been washed and dried into an airy nimbus. Frex was glad to see Melena so generous as to offer a passerby water to bathe in. Perhaps she was adjusting to country life after all, because Mercy, a Quadling, ranked about as low on the social ladder as possible to get and still be human. But I too understand, said the Quadling. Ovals is a small world. Until I leave, I do not know of hills one beyond the other, and from the tiny and the spiny backbones, a world so wide around. The blurry far away to hurt my eyes, for I cannot make it seen. Please, sir, to describe the world you know. Frex picked up the stick. In the soil he drew an egg on the side. What they taught me in lessons, he says, is the inside circle is Oz. Make an X. He did so through the oval, and roughly speaking, you have a pie in 4 sections. The top is Gilligan, full of cities and universities and theaters, civilized life, they say, and industry. You move clockwise. East is Munchkinland, where we are now. Farmland, the breadbasket of Oz. Except down in the mountainous south, these strokes in the district of Wend Hardings are the hills you're climbing. He bumped and squiggled. Directly south of the center of Oz is Quadling country. Badlands, I'm told. Marshless, useless, infected with bugs and feverish airs. Turtle Heart looked at this but nodded. The west, they call it, is Winky country. Don't know much about it, except that it's dry and unpopulated. And around? Said Turtle Heart. Sandstones, deserts north and west. Flexstone desert east and south. You'd say the desert sands were deadly poison. That's just standard propaganda. Keep invaders from Ev and Quox from trying to get in. Munchkinlanders is rich and desirable farm country, and Gilligan's not bad either. And the Glickus up there, he scratched lines in the northeast on the border between Gilligan and Munchkinland, are the emerald mines and the famous Glickus candles. I guess there's a dispute whether the Glickus is Munchkinlander or Gilliganese, but I have no opinion on that. Turtle Heart moved his hands over the drawing in the dirt, flexing his palms as if he were reading the map from above. But here, he said, what is here? Frex wondered if he meant the air above Oz. The realm of the unnamed god, he said. The other land. Are you a unionist? Turtle Heart is glassblower, said Turtle Heart. I mean religiously. Turtle Heart bowed his head and didn't meet Frex's eye. Turtle Heart does not know what name to call this. I don't know about Quadlings, said Frex, warning to a possible convert, but Gilliganese and Munchkinlanders are largely unionists, since Luralist paganism went out. For centuries there have been unionist shrines and chapel all over ours. Are there none in Quadling country? Turtle Heart does not recognize what this is, he said. And now respectable unionists are going to are growing in droves over the pleasure of faith, said Frex, snorting, or even TikTokism, which hardly even qualifies as a religion. To the ignorant, everything is spectacle these days. The ancient unions, monks, and mounts knew their place in the universe, acknowledging the life source too sublime to be named. And now we sniff up skirts of every musty magician who comes along. Hedonists, anarchists, solipsists. Individual freedom and amusement is all, as if sorcery had any moral component. Charms, alley magic, industrial strength, sound, and light displays. Fake shape changers, charlatans, nemocracy, chemical and herbal wisdoms, humbug hedonists, selling their bog recipes and crone aphorisms and schoolboy spells. It makes me sick. Turtle Heart said, "Shall Turtle Heart to bring you water? Shall Turtle Heart to lie you down?" He put his fingers as calfskin on the side of Frex's neck. Frex shivered and realized he'd been shouting. Nanny and Melina were standing at the doorway with a pan of fish, silent. "It's a figure of speech. I'm not sick," he said, but he was touched at the concern the foreigner had shown. "I think we'll eat." And they did. Elphaba ignored her food except to prod the eyes out of a baked fish and to try to fit them on her own wingless bird. Nanny grumbled good-naturedly about the wind off the lake, her chills, her backbone, her digestion. Her gas was apparent from more than a few feet away, and Frex moved as discreetly as possible to be upwind. He found himself sitting next to the quadling on the bench. "So, is that all clear to you?" Frex pointed a fork at the map of Oz. "Is Emerald City to be where?" said the quadling, fish bones poking from between his lips. "Dead center," said Frex. "And there is Ozma," said Turtleheart. "Ozma, the ordained queen of Oz, or so they say," Frex said, "though the unnamed god must be ruler of all in our hearts." "How can an unnamed creature rule?" began Turtleheart. "No theology at dinner," sang out Melina. "That's a house rule, dating back from the start of our marriage, Turtleheart, and we obey it. Besides, I think I still harbor a devotion to Lorene." Nanny made a face in Frex's directions. "Old folks like me are allowed in. Do you know about Lorene, stranger?" Turtleheart shook his head. "If we have no theology, then we surely have no arrogant pagan nonsense," began Frex, but Nanny, being august and invoking of deafness when it suited her, plowed in. "Lorene is the fairy queen who flew over the sandy waste and spotted the green, lovely land of Oz below. She left her daughter Ozma to rule the country, and in her absence she protested to return to Oz in its darkest hour." "Ha!" said Frex. "No hats at me," Nanny sniffed. "I'm so entitled to my beliefs as you are, Frexpar the Godly. At least they don't get me in trouble, as yours do." "Nanny, govern your temper," said Melina, enjoying this. "It's rubbish," said Frex. "Ozma rules in the Emerald City, and anyone who sees her or paintings of her knows she's from Gilkenese stock. Got the same broad band of forehead, the slightly gapped teeth, the frenzy of curling brown hair, the quick shifts of mood, usually in anger. All characteristics of Gilkenese people. You've seen her, Melina, tell him." "Oh, she's elegant in her way," Melina admitted. "The daughter of a fairy queen," said Turtleheart. "More nonsense," said Frex. "Not nonsense," snapped Nanny. "They think she bears herself again and again like a phoenix," said Frex. "Ha and double ha. They've been 300 years of different Ozmas. Ozma the Mendacious was a dedicated mount, who lowered rulings in a bucket down from the topmost chamber in a cloister tower. She was as mad as a bung beetle. Ozma the warrior conquered the Glickus, at least for a time, and commanded the emeralds with which to decorate the Emerald City. Ozma the librarian did nothing but read genealogies for her whole life long, There was Ozma, the scarcely beloved, who kept pet ermines. Then there was she overtaxed the farmers to begin the road system of yellow brick that they're still struggling to complete, and much luck to them, I say. Who is Ozma now? Asked Turtleheart. Actually, said Melina, I had the pleasure to meet the last Ozma of social season in the Emerald City. My grandfather, the eminent Throp, had a townhouse. The winter I was 15, I was brought out into society there. She was Ozma the bilious because of a bad stomach. She was the size of a lake narwhal, but she dressed beautifully. I saw her husband with Pastorius at the Oz Festival of Song and Sentiment. She is no longer the queen? Asked Turtleheart, confused. She died in an unfortunate accident involving some rat poison, said Frex. Died, said Nanny, or her spirit moved into her next child, Ozma Tipperarius. The current Ozma is just about the same age as Elphaba, said Melina, so her father, Pastorius, is the Ozma regent. The good man will rule until Ozma Tipperarius is old enough to take the throne. Turtleheart shook his head. Frex was annoyed because they had spent so much time talking about the worldly ruler and ignoring the eternal realm. And Nanny lapsed into a bout of indigestion for which they all were very sorry, olfactorily speaking. Anyway, being irritated, Frex was glad to be home. Because of the beauty of Melina, she was almost glowing as the sun left the sky, and because of the surprise of Turtleheart smiling and unconscious next to him. Maybe because Turtleheart's religious emptiness, which Frex found challenging and appealing, almost tempting. Then there's the dragon beneath Oz in a hidden cavern, Nanny was saying to Turtleheart. The dragon who has dreamt the world and will burn into flames when he wakes up. Shut up, that superstitious cosswallop, shouted Frex. Elphaba, on all fours, advanced on the uneven planks to the floorboard. She bared her teeth, as if she knew what a dragon was, as if she was pretending, and roared. Her green skin made her persuasive, as if she were a dragon child. She roared again. Oh, sweetheart, don't, said Frex, and she peed on the floor and sniffed her urine with satisfaction and disgust. That's the end of that chapter. See you later.